in our previous class, we were discussing about overview of security features. So how Salesforce is managing the security of each and every object created on uh, server instance, and which is again a multi-tenant architecture. So we like how Salesforce is going to make uh, the same account object available to multiple organizations, and how it is going to maintain those objects on the database.com, and how it is going to differentiate each organization based on the organization ID, and how it is going to uh, differentiate each user from a specific organization based on their user ID. So all these things we have discussed yesterday, and okay, so let's go ahead. Right. So organization ID, that is O, which is starting with 00T, and user ID, which is starting with 005. And whenever we click any kind of, we create any kind of records on our Salesforce objects. So what type of information it is going to send to the Salesforce servers. So which includes everything like the requested URL, form data, header information, browser information, operating system information, and session ID, IP address, organization ID, and user ID. So all these things are going to be, sent to the Salesforce server whenever we click on or create some kind of records on our Salesforce objects. And yes, so we can able to add one or more users inside a Salesforce organization. And till now we were the only one working on our Salesforce developer org, free Salesforce developer org. So we can create other users. So we would be dealing with that particular topic. And then we had chance talking about the licenses, how license is very important for driving the similar way. Each user must have a license in order to uh, in order for us to create a user on the Salesforce org. So we are going to do practically like create a user as a license, and all those we are going to do a practical session. Apart from that, so let's go to, yeah. So let's talk about a small demo about the licenses. So let's go to our page. So I have my Salesforce organization in here. Let's say my Salesforce org, and I have my around, like, let's say 5 licenses. Okay, 5 Salesforce licenses. Okay, so this 5 licenses, I'm going to use it for 5 different users. Let's say I have 5 users here. One, two. Okay, so these 5 licenses I'm going to use for these 5 users. So, okay, based on this license, but the thing, my requirement is, let's say this person is a sales user, let's say. Okay, so the sales user, and this is marketing user, let's say. And This is the project user, like project management kind of people and different people. So all these users, I have 5 Salesforce licenses, let's say, and I'm using the same licenses for all these 5 people. So I would be making use of those licenses, and then I would be creating these users on my Salesforce server. So how do I differentiate on the level of access each of them has? So as they all have the same license, does it mean they are all going to, does it mean they are all going to have same level of access? Usually, yes, but I want to restrict them from accessing different um, all right. So all these users, so I want to restrict them, from accessing different kinds of records. So let's say sales user, I don't want him to see all of my organizational records or all of my account records, other records. So I don't want him to see all those records. So I want to restrict this particular person. So all of them have the same license, but how do I do restrict this permissions on this particular user? So there comes a concept called profile. Okay, so yeah, so we can create a profile for the sales user, saying sales profile, and then we can assign that particular profile to this person. Okay, so profile is nothing but it's just a set of permissions given to a user, the level of access given to user or set of permissions given to user to access our Salesforce organizational data. Okay, so when I say Salesforce org data, it's access the objects, access fields, access all the out of the box functionalities within Salesforce. So yes, access to those all these things we are controlling using this set of permissions called a profile. So a profile is nothing but it's a set of permissions which is giving the level of access to the user based on the settings provided in the profile. Okay. So I would be creating a sales profile and then assign to this user. So I don't want to create multiple profiles because sales and marketing nearly goes together. So I will be using the same sales for profile to the marketing user also, and I would be creating admin profile to this all other users. That means I'm assigning one single profile to multiple users. Yes, that is possible. So assign we can assign a single profile to multiple users. So yes, so as we discussed already, so license and the user, it's one-to-one association. But when it comes to profile and the user, it's one-to-many association. Okay, profile, one single profile can be assigned to multiple users. Okay, but the reverse is not true. One user cannot have multiple profiles. Okay, so there is another concept called permission sets, which we will talk about. Yeah, so let's say, suppose my sales, so I don't want to create multiple profiles, and that's the reason I use the sales profile for sales and marketing team. But I want this marketing team to have a look at my few of the revenue data because they need to have reports on revenues for today for them to plan like every Saturday, every Friday for them to plan the next week um activities they are going to do or the marketing strategies they are going to follow. So for that reason, they need to have a little more uh, permissions on my Salesforce org. So in that case, I have some other concept called permission set. So I would be extending the permissions which are present on their profile plus the permissions, extra permissions given on my permission set. Okay, so that's how we do. We don't create like multiple profiles. So yes, so when it comes to Salesforce org, so we it's again the same. So we will be having both standard profiles and custom profiles, right? So it's the same. So we have a set of standard profiles available within Salesforce, and we can create custom profiles. So these standard profiles are like ready-made profiles which are provided by Salesforce by default. And these standard profiles has some drawbacks like we cannot edit completely. It's editable only to some extent, the standard profiles. So, and we cannot remove the standard profiles from the org. So we cannot remove. If it is custom profile, we can create, edit, and remove as well from our Salesforce org. So yes, that's the reason. The best practice while creating a profile is we would be we would be creating a custom profile by cloning the standard profile. So we'll clone a already existing profile, and then we'll create a custom profile so that this custom profile will have all the settings which we can edit. Whereas if we go with the standard profiles, we can edit only up to some extent, but a few of the settings are like it's fixed. We cannot change them, and standard profiles cannot be removed from the Salesforce org. So yes, that's the best practice is like we will be cloning from the existing profile, and we will be creating custom profiles for our Salesforce org. So yes, so by using this profiles, when I say, so what kind of permissions it is going to give? So it's going to give permissions like permissions to our access to our Salesforce org, permission to access our objects, standard objects, custom objects, standard fields, custom fields, uh, system settings, custom settings, and login hours, login IP ranges, all this. So all this information we are going to set in our profile. So based on that, we are going to give access to the user. So if a user, we can have access at the objects level, we can have access at the record level, we can have access at the field level. So all these kind of accesses we are going to set in our profile, and based on that only the user will be able to access certain objects, certain records, certain fields within the records. So yeah, based on that, right? So in a profile we are going to maintain all these kind of settings within a profile. So yes, so standard profiles and custom profiles. So best practice, we will be creating a custom profile by cloning the existing one, because that custom profile will be fully editable, and we can give complete custom permissions, and we can remove if we do not want that profile. Okay. So each profile should be associated with a license. So for a user to be created, he needs to have a single license, and he needs to have a profile as well. Okay. So all the profile information, will be stored in an object called profile object. So all the users information will be stored in an object called user object, and license information will be stored in an object called user license object. So these are the objects which are available within Salesforce where we have the information available. Okay. So so how we are going to create our profile, we will be doing it practically. I will show you how we are going to create, and how we are going to make use of the profiles. So yes, let's go to our Salesforce org. Yeah. So I'm on my Salesforce org. So let's go to, so we have already discussed on how we are going to check the user licenses yesterday. So go to setup, company information or system information. So I'll go to system information because we just want to check how many licenses are available. Based on that, we would be creating the users. Okay. Okay. So here, how many in the system overview, we can see how many licenses has been consumed and how many are available. Okay. So most used licenses. Say Salesforce license, 50% consumed, maximum two, one is used. Chatter free, it's maximum 5,000 and nothing is used. And customer community, maximum five and nothing is used. And we will have another show all. Let's see what all other licenses. Right. If you see, we have other license called platform license, right? Platform license, there are three and I haven't used. So now what I will do is I will go ahead and we'll be creating users, but before that we will be creating profiles. So we have four licenses in hand. One is Salesforce license, another three platform licenses. So we can create four users. So yes. Okay. So here, so you can make a note of this profile information, like what is a profile all about. So profile is nothing but a component which contains one or more permissions to be assigned to one or more users inside the organization. It is acting as mediator between user and the organization. Okay, so I would say it's a set of permissions assigned to a particular user. Profile is nothing but a set of permissions assigned to a particular user. So while adding a user to organization, he should have compulsory license and a profile. And as we discussed, we have two types of profile, standard and custom. Standard are provided by default and can be editable only up to some extent and cannot be removed, the standard profiles. Custom profiles, we can create our own custom profiles. Yes, we will be doing a practical on this by cloning the existing one and can be assigned to one or more users. Yes, we were saying that, right? So one profile can be assigned to one or more users. So when I say profile to users, it's one-to-many association. One profile can be assigned to multiple users. And yeah, we can give multiple permissions by making use of this profiles, that is assigning object level permissions, record level permissions, field level permissions. Yeah. And so by using profiles, we can grant permissions on apps, tabs, objects, operations, fields, page layouts, Apex classes, Visual Force pages, etc. Okay. Each profile should be associated with a license, but with one license type, we can create multiple profiles. Okay. Yeah, this is the point, right? So we checked like how many licenses we have. So we have one Salesforce license and three platform licenses. So making use of three platform licenses, I'm going to create three users. Okay. And with making use of one profile, one license type, we can create multiple profiles also, right? So all the profiles information will get resides in a profile object. So yes, and the navigation for how we can go and create a profile. So yes. In setup, go to profiles and click on new profile. Select the existing profile name from the pick list, enter the new profile name, and then click save. Create the below two profiles, Salesforce license profile, one Salesforce. Yeah, we were checking, right? So we will be creating Salesforce profile names. Okay. So, okay. So let's go and see in our org like how we are going to create a profile. Okay. So we are on the setup again. So on our org, and let's go click select search on the quick find box for profiles. Okay. Click on this profiles. Okay, so here we can see all the available profiles within our org. Okay, so all the profiles, and you can see if it is custom, it is ticked. So custom marketing profile, custom sales profile. Okay, so these are all the standard profiles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new profile. Click on create new. Sorry, this is view. Uh, this is create new view. You have to click on new profile. Okay, so you must select an existing profile to clone from. So what I'm doing is I'm going to clone custom support profile, and I'm giving my profile name as admin Salesforce profile. So I'm going to clone actually a standard user. So since I am giving this Salesforce license, I can also select system administrator. This is the high level of permissions which a user going to have. So I'm creating system administrator profile. I'm cloning that, and I'm creating our mine Salesforce profile, and click on save. Okay, so this is our profile. So here, if you see the name of the profile, the license, and custom profile, yes, it's a custom profile, and created by, modified by, and then you can see the page layouts. So you can give page layouts, which all the page layouts has to be assigned to the user. You have option for field level security also. So object level, field level. So if you see so many permissions on the profile, right? So custom object layouts, and then field level security. We can give field level security also, custom application settings, service provider tab settings. So we can make some of the tabs to be invisible also. So that also we can do in the profile. Record type settings. We can give only few record type access to the user. What is records type is, we'll be talking about record types. Administrative permissions. Administrative permissions in the sense it's like the system related permissions for our Salesforce server. General user permissions, standard object permissions. So these are all the permissions, standard object permissions given. Custom object permissions, session settings, password policies, login hours, login IP ranges, enabled Apex classes, enabled Visual Force pages, enabled external data sources and named credentials, custom metadata. So all this custom permissions, I told you, right? System permissions, custom permissions, flow access, service presence, experience cloud site, all these permissions we can give in our profile. So profile is a set of settings which gives the permissions for a particular user to access our Salesforce org. So based on the settings or based on the profile, the user is going to either get access to a particular um, object field record, or whether he's not going to get access to a particular field. So it depends on the profile permissions given on the profile. Okay, so this is how you create a profile. You just need to go clone the existing profile, and then you will get all these details. So yes, and then here, so you might have question like, so I just clone, right? So the same type of settings which standard user has, my Armand's profiles also has, right? So yes, same level of permissions are there, but you are free to edit any kind of permissions you want to change. You can go ahead and change in this particular profile. So this profile is going to be a custom profile, and all the settings, all the permissions on this profile are editable because you created this particular profile. And also, so to create the profile, you need to be a you need to be on the profile called system administrator profile, because that's the highest level profile to any Salesforce org where they can go ahead and create a new profile. Okay, right. So based on the requirement, so the profiles are created within the Salesforce org. So as we were discussing in the previous classes, so our organization has 10,000 employees, of which 7,000 are sales, 2,000 are marketing, and 1,000 are service. So in this case, I am going to create three different profiles: sales profile, one is sales profile, one is service profile, one is marketing profile. These are the three profiles which I create and assign to this set of users. So the 7,000 sales users, I'm going to assign sales profile. 2,000 marketing users, I'm going to assign marketing profile. And 1,000 service users, I'm going to assign service profile. So this profile, again, will give the access to our Salesforce org based on whatever they are needed. So for salespeople, we just need anything, all the accesses on our lead object, opportunity object, campaign object. So these are all very important for a salesperson. Okay. And marketing also, it's like campaign object, lead, opportunity, all these are required. And when we come and say service profile, we need to give access on account, case, solution. So all these objects, this particular profile need access because they are going to work on the cases that a user raised. So they are going to provide service based on their day-to-day job. Okay. So that's how we create profiles in Salesforce. Okay. So now, uh, so we created a profile. What do you mean by so till now we were only the one to access our Salesforce org. So now what we are going to do, since we have licenses in our free developer account, we are going to create uh, few users to our Salesforce org, and then we will be accessing, we can give access to our friends or anyone whom you wanted to access your Salesforce org. Okay, or else you can create another user and you yourself can see this set of permissions based on the profiles you are assigned. Okay. So what we are going to do is, so let's so so in our example we just created a profile. Okay. So go to our diagram, right? So we just created a profile for sales profile for these two users, and then an admin related profile for these users. Okay. So here, uh, first we will for this person to access our Salesforce org, we need this person to be created on our Salesforce org. That means we need to create a user, named the sales user, and we need to assign a license to him, we need to assign a profile to him, and then he will be able to access to our Salesforce org. So yes, a sale user is nothing but a person who can access our Salesforce org or Salesforce data, uh, and he can view uh, multiple things on our Salesforce org. Okay, so a user can be your customer or your stakeholder or your employee or the end user. Okay, so like let's go to our organization again. So whenever so as I said, there are 7,000 sales users. So whenever a new sales person comes in, so we would be creating a user for this particular salesperson, and then this particular salesperson can be able to log in. Okay, so let's say you have just joined a company which is, and then you joined a project in the Salesforce. Okay, so what initially your team members will be doing is, your team members or team lead will be doing is, he would be creating a new user with your name and your details on the Salesforce org, and then you will be receiving your uh, an email saying you will have to verify and create a password for yourself, and then you will be able to log into the Salesforce. So based on the requirement, uh, we will be creating users on the Salesforce. So if you are a developer user, probably your team leader would be assigning you platform license, and then create a user on the Salesforce. Okay, but if you are a administrator, Salesforce administrator, your team leader would be assigning you a system administrator profile, and then create a user for you on the Salesforce. So based on that, your level of access will increase or decrease, or your scope of access will be more or lesser, right? So we can add like one or more users on our organization, and each user will be associated with one license and one profile. Okay, so at least one, sorry, one profile. Same profile we can assign to multiple users, right? So only the administrator will have the rights to add the users to the organization. So the highest permission on our Salesforce org is the system administrator. So only he can create the users. Okay, so all the users information, as we discussed, it's going to be resides in user object. And once a user has been created in an organization, there is no chance of removing that user from the org. Okay, so we cannot remove the user from the organization. So it's when it comes to interview point of view, if somebody asks, how can we remove a user from your Salesforce org? Go ahead and clearly say we cannot remove a user from a Salesforce org. Okay. So even the question may, the interviewer want to make it more tricky. So he might be asking you, how many ways are there in Salesforce to remove a user from the Salesforce org? So he might be tricking you, and where you think, oh, there might be some different types of removing a user. So don't get confused. There is no way you can go ahead and remove a user from a Salesforce org. Okay. So there is another concept. We cannot remove, but we can deactivate, we can freeze. Yeah, we will talk about that. But we can, but the important point to be noted here is a user cannot be removed from a Salesforce org once created. Okay, so how we are going to create the users? Yeah, the navigation I will be sharing you. So we just need to go to setup and then say search for users, and in the users we will be selecting new user and provide all the details, and the username should be unique, and it should be more like our email format again. So the username should be a email format and it should be unique, and then we will be assigning a license to the user from the available list of licenses. So in our case, we have one Salesforce license, three platform user licenses. So from those four, we are going to assign one license to a user we create, and then we will be selecting a profile to be assigned to that particular user. So each user should have a license and should have a profile. So, and then we will be saving that particular user. And once we create a user on our Salesforce org, so he's going to get a mail on his email. Okay, so then he will have to go to his email box and then verify his account. So once he verifies the account, then he would be asked to change the password. So he has to create a new password and click on the change password button and it will be changed. So that's how a user is created. So username is available, password is known to him, and then he's ready to access our Salesforce org. So right. So that is how we create users on a Salesforce org. Okay. So let's go to org again. So here we are again on the setup menu. You just on the quick find box, you just need to click search for users. Here is the user. Click on users and you will find the available users and also the new button for you to create new users. Right. So these are our available users, and this is the uh, profile which I am logged in. And since I'm logged in with this profile only, I'm able to have a new user button here, but other profiles will not have the new user button. So system administrator is a profile which will have this new user. So you will have to click on the new user and provide all the details. So we are going to create user one, user two, user three, or your wish, whatever name you want, you can mention development user, uh, management user, project user, something like that. Or you can also give names like your friends' names or colleagues' names, whatever you want. So the user name you can give, it should be in an email ID format. Okay, so let's go and you can write down this some notes on the users. Okay, so user is nothing but a person who can access our Salesforce org, and data. User can be a partner, customer, employee, or end user, or a stakeholder, anyone. Your colleague also can be a user, right? So we can add one or more users to the organization, and each user become should be associated with license and profile. Only the administrator have the rights to add users to the organization. Okay, so only for your Salesforce developer, or you will be the administrator, and that's the reason one of the Salesforce licenses assigned to you, and you will be able to create users. Okay. So all users information is stored in user object, and we can create users, but we cannot remove users from the org. And this is navigation. Just now I showed you. So how we are going to create a user and how we need to activate the user, and then they will have to create their own password, and then they will be able to log into their user profiles. Okay. So we are going to create the below 4 users. Yeah. Uh, and then one is development user. For that person, I am assigning Salesforce license. The other 3 are management user, custom user, and testing user, customer user, and testing user. For them, I am assigning partner license, sorry, platform license. So we have 1 Salesforce license and 3 platform licenses. So I'm going to create 4 users on my Salesforce org. Okay. Let's go to our org. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm creating users only on my talent acquisition application. So I'm going there. And from here, you just need to go to setup. And in the quick find box, you will find you will have to type users. Okay, so here, so users, these are the users already available. So click on new user, and you need to provide all these details. Okay, so for that, I'm creating whatsoever task. I'm creating a development user. Okay, first name. I'm just giving a generic name here, but you can use whatever the names you want while creating the users. Okay, but you need to have an email ID for each user so that this user will be verified through the email ID, and he can create his own password. Alias Salesforce is going to give, and yeah. So you need to give an email address. So I'm going to give it as and username, nickname are populated. Title, if you want to give, you can give. This is not a compulsory. All the red marked are the required fields you can see, and all others are optional, but it's good to have. As a Salesforce administrator, you need to have clean information on your org. Okay, so here you can see roles, right? So as of now, I'm not discussing on this, but yes, we have this topic. Since we need to select, I'm selecting as CO required, and yeah, this is fair. So I'm creating my development user with the Salesforce. So here in this user license drop-down box, you can see only the available licenses within your Salesforce org. So Salesforce license I have and Salesforce platform license I have. So I'm going to make use of this too. So now after create using the Salesforce license, so next user, if I create this particular Salesforce is not available, Salesforce license in this drop down. Okay. So just try to mm, make a note of it. Okay, we'll see. So because Salesforce licenses, we have only two with for our sales free developer Salesforce account. So this is the second one I'm using, and it's not going to be there in the drop down anymore. So since this is Salesforce user, I want to give my custom profile, which I created, the Arbenz Salesforce profile. This is again same as system administrator profile. Okay, I want to make use of it. So while creating a user, the important points is you need to have a license, valid license. You need to have a valid profile. Okay. So since this is our free developer org, we are not having the information on the license from what time till what time it is available from like uh, usually it's like yearly. Okay. So till what date it is available, that particular Salesforce license, till what time it is active. Okay. So after it is expired, we will have to purchase the license again. So since it's our developer or we don't have that information here. So you can give whatever the options you want: service cloud user, flow user, knowledge user, marketing user. I want to give all of those permissions because this is a high level permission again, data.com user also. So if these are like optional based on the requirements, we give these permissions for the user. And you can select the mobile, give the mobile number, employee ID, individual. So you can select all this. So if it is your organization, you are creating a profile, probably you can provide the employee number also on the user. Okay. So mailing address, city, street, city, postal, single sign-on, and local settings, approver settings. Yeah, all this you can use if you want it based on the business requirement. And then generate new password and notify the user immediately. Okay, so this will actually go, an email will be sent to the user. Uh, we are assigning only profile, license, and then we are clicking save. Okay, so to activate the account, we will have to log into our email ID and activate it. So check this checkbox and then click on save or save and new if you want to create the next user also. Okay, we'll go with save and new. So the development user is created on your Salesforce org. Okay, there are no site.com contributor licenses, so that's okay. It didn't create my user because that site.com licenses are not available for our Salesforce org. Oh my God. We'll have to fill again. So I'm giving Salesforce license profile. I'm giving the currently just now we created that profile. Marketing flow is needed. Service. So these are not available. So don't check that because it's our free developer account. Okay, so a user is created and I have received a mail also. Okay, for saying that my user has been created. So yeah, I'll show you how to verify that. But yes, before I'm creating another user, management user. So I just want to show you that this user license dropdown will not show Salesforce license because that is all completed. Manager user. Okay. I'm putting a generic names, but your wish, you can put something, whatever you want. I'm running short of email ID, so I'm using a dummy email here because I'm not going to verify this account anyways. But in your case, if you want to verify, have sufficient emails with yourself. Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing. Right. Okay. So here, if you see that Salesforce license is not available, right? Only platform licenses. Okay. Salesforce licenses, I currently logged in user and we created development user. Two licenses are completed for websites. So I'm giving Salesforce platform license and okay, for this particular license, we haven't created any profiles and you can check what are all the required uh, options to be given to this user and approval process also. If you want, you can check and save. Click on save. So the email will be sent, but I gave a dummy email. Okay. So this is the manager user. So if you see here, so we have created development user and then manager user, right? So I'm going to verify my email ID. So just give me a minute. Not sure if I can log in to my yeah, I'm sorry. I think since I'm logging in from Germany, it's like not allowing me or something, but I'm not sure what is this. Okay, so what we will receive an email saying so welcome to Salesforce. Click below to verify your account. Okay. So verify account is a button in that, and then we will have to click on that verify account button, and you are routed to sale develop.my.salesforce.com screen. And here, ready for a new password, reset password. Reset password button is given here. So you can give your own password, whichever you want, and it is also mentioning the criteria 8 characters and one letter and one number, something like that. So I'm creating a password. You will have to remember your password. Okay, so just create a password, and it will also ask you security question. Give the answer. That is for, whenever you forget password, it will ask the security question. Okay, so that's the reason it will record that. So click on change password, and your password will be changed, and then your user will be created. Okay, so yes, I got my user created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demo with the other user. So I'm going to log out here and log in with the new user account. So you need to give your username and password. Okay. So yes, so I am able to log into the Salesforce org, and the level of permissions will be the same because I have assigned the Salesforce permissions. See, you can see the username as development user, right? Okay. So this is how you will have to create users on your Salesforce org. So the assignment will be create the remaining two users. Okay. So we create a development user, manager user. Go ahead and create customer user, testing user, but you can name whatever you want. I just given a generic names here. You just need to create 4 users on your Salesforce org. For one of them, give the Salesforce license, and for the other 3, you give them platform license. Okay. So this is the task for you for today. And yeah, so we were talking about profiles, standard profile, custom profile, and then how we are going to create a profile. We have done a demo of creating a profile. So we created our main Salesforce profile. Okay. So yes, and then so we talked about what is a what is a user management. So how can we create users on our Salesforce org? We talked about that, and we cannot remove users from our Salesforce org once created. And how we are going to create a user? We have created 2 users, the development user and the manager user, and then we have assigned licenses and profiles to that particular users. Okay, so this is all about today's class. I will ping you in the WhatsApp the assignments. Okay, please go ahead and complete those assignments and come back tomorrow.